The air inside courtroom 6A was heavy, thick with tension like a storm waiting to break. Even the ceiling fans seemed to hesitate, their blades turning slower, as if the room itself was holding its breath. And then Meri Brown stood up. In her hands was a black binder, its spine worn, its cover stamped with a single word that sent chills through the audience. Confidential. Kody froze. His eyes went wide, his jaw tightened. Robyn's hand slipped from his arm and dropped to the table. She whispered something, too soft to hear, but the panic was written all over her face. Meri's voice cut through the silence, steady, relentless. Your Honor, before I testify, you need to understand something. What I'm about to expose will not only ruin Kody Brown's reputation, it could send him and Robyn straight to prison. And yes, I brought the receipts. A ripple of shock tore through the gallery. People shifted forward in their seats. Christine gasped. Janelle's hand gripped the bench in front of her. Even the bailiff blinked twice, unsure if he'd heard her correctly. Meri placed the binder on the evidence table. The sound echoed like a gunshot. Then she opened it, page after page of secrets laid bare. Hidden bank accounts in Robyn's name, property deeds shuffled around with forged signatures, scripts designed to make the family's financial collapse look like a simple breakdown for TV. Every page was another nail in Kody's coffin. The judge leaned forward, adjusting her glasses. Mrs. Brown, are you testifying that Mr. Brown deliberately falsified financial documents to defraud his family? Meri didn't flinch. Yes, Your Honor. And Robyn helped him every step of the way. Gasps erupted. Some in the crowd covered their mouths. Robyn's face crumbled as tears welled up, but this time no one believed her act. Kody shot to his feet, his voice cracking. This is all lies. She's twisting everything. She's bitter. His words stumbled out desperate, hollow. But the binder, the evidence, the receipts spoke louder than any denial. For years, Kody had controlled the sister wives' story. But in that courtroom, under oath, the truth had finally slipped from his grasp. And this was just the beginning. The gallery erupted. Cameras clicked in a frenzy. The judge slammed her gavel. Order in the court! But the chaos was impossible to silence. One reporter whispered into her mic, "This could be the end of the Brown brand." Robyn was trembling. Kody's face had turned gray, sickly. And Meri, her eyes burned with fire. "You lied to the network!" Meri thundered, her voice cutting through the noise. "You milked my pain for your gain. You traded our children's futures for leverage." The judge turned to Robyn's attorney. "Do you have a response?" The lawyer simply shook her head. "Not at this time, Your Honor." Then Meri dropped her next weapon, Exhibit C. From the binder, she pulled a brown leather journal. "This," she declared, "is Robyn's diary. She left it behind when they moved out of the Vegas cul-de-sac." She flipped to a bookmarked page. Her voice rang out. "Meri still thinks it's the money transfer. I told Kody to distract her. If we can keep her mired in guilt, she won't question us. The house in Sedona is almost done. Told Kody to sign it with her name. It's neater that way. Nobody ever verifies." The courtroom froze. Robyn's jaw dropped. Kody buried his face in his hands. Meri's next words were a dagger. "You embezzled $120,000 from the Children's Trust Fund to buy a boutique and a diamond necklace. I have proof. And so does this court." Her lawyer queued up the slides. Wire transfers, receipts, invoices, designer handbags, all linked back to the Brown Family Children's Trust, first created in 2014. Meri turned, her voice trembling but fierce. "What about the children, Kody? What about Gabe? What about Garrison? What about Truly?" Kody had no answer. His silence was louder than any denial. The judge's tone hardened. "Mrs. Brown, are you testifying that this trust was deliberately depleted by Mr. Brown and Mrs. Brown?" Meri didn't blink. "It's not opinion, Your Honor, it's a recorded fact." The air thickened. Then Meri pulled the coup de grace, emails between Robyn and her lawyer. "We need Meri to sign the refinance documents. Tell her it's for the kids' college fund. She'll believe it. If she refuses, we push her out like we did Christine." Meri's voice shook, but her resolve didn't falter. "You stole my name. You forged my signature. You robbed our children. And now the world will see who you really are, under oath, on record, and on every television screen in America." The hush that followed was electric. Kody looked pale. Robyn bowed her head, tears streaking her face. But this wasn't drama for TLC cameras. This was criminal reality, under oath. The judge excused Meri. But the silence didn't last long, because the rear doors of courtroom 6A creaked open, and in walked Kody Brown. She wasn't summoned. She volunteered. The gallery gasped. Kody sat bolt upright. Robyn's lips parted. Meri stared in disbelief. Kody walked straight to the witness stand, her eyes locked on the judge. "I'm here to testify," she said firmly. "Under oath." The judge nodded. "Proceed." Kody didn't bring a binder. She didn't need one. Her evidence lived inside her for years. I stayed quiet out of loyalty, out of fear. In Kody's world, silence is survival. But today, I refuse to stay quiet. Gasps filled the air when she revealed her weapon, a thin USB drive. These are phone recordings, some from our home in Flagstaff, some from Kody's own messages to me, threats, gaslighting, lies, and he thought I deleted them. The projector came to life. Kody's voice echoed across the courtroom. "Just get Meri to sign. Tell her it's routine. She won't question it. She's too emotional." Then Robyn's voice followed. "If she gets suspicious, blame Kody. Production will buy it." The jury froze. Kody's chin lifted. They not only betrayed Meri, they scapegoated me too. Every mistake, every scheme, they pointed the cameras at me, at Janelle, at anyone but themselves. She produced emails, her voice steady. "If we relocate Janelle and Kody next year, we condense the TLC narrative. Less drama, more focus on us. Production will love it. Meri can stay. Guilt keeps her quiet." The date? February 2020. Almost a year before the public collapse of the family. Kody slammed the table. The judge snapped, "One more outburst, Mr. Brown, and you'll be removed from your own trial." Kody's testimony turned darker. She recalled Kody refusing to attend their daughter's surgery because he was busy signing real estate documents with Robyn. The room gasped. Kody's voice broke, but she pressed on. Then came her final bombshell. Kody held up a notarized custody modification. Her voice shook. "After I filed for divorce, Robyn secretly filed to adopt Truly. She claimed I was unfit because I left the faith." The courtroom erupted. The judge stared hard. "Are you testifying that Robyn Brown attempted to strip you of custody using false religious claims?" "Yes, Your Honor, and I have the emails to prove it." The clerk read one aloud. "Truly is young and pliable. If we move fast, we can prove she's already blended into our family. It'll be a better story for court." It was signed by Robyn Brown. This was no longer just deception. This was conspiracy. For the first time ever, Meri and Kody exchanged a look. Not as rivals, but as survivors. The judge's knuckles tightened on the bench. "Secure these exhibits. Contact the state attorney's office. There may be criminal charges outside this court's reach." And with that, the walls began to close in. But the saga wasn't finished, because the next witness was about to change everything. Janelle Brown. She wasn't just bringing testimony, she was bringing an arrest warrant. Was bringing testimony, she was bringing an arrest warrant. The cabin was too neat, too arranged. Dust on the furniture that looked staged. Cobwebs in corners that seemed painted on. But the floor? Not a single speck. Not even a footprint. "This place is a setup," Agent Romers muttered. Agent Gentry moved to the back office where Robyn claimed documents were hidden under old hunting gear. She wasn't wrong, at least not completely. Behind 2 duffel bags of untouched camping equipment sat a vent panel. The screws were shiny. Too shiny. 10 minutes later, the locksmith kit did its work. Click. The safe swung open. Inside, $12,000 in crisp bills. Burner phones. USB drives. A leather folder stamped private family assets. "Bingo," Agent Gentry whispered. Elsewhere, another agent pulled open a kitchen drawer labeled MISC. Inside, a passport. Different name, Joseph King. But the photo? Kody Brown, clean-shaven, glasses, a fake identity complete with a one-way ticket. Then came the floorboard, exactly where Robyn had warned. Beneath it, a hidden compartment. Inside, a black binder, a carved wooden box, and a waterproof envelope marked, "If Meri ever finds out, destroy." The envelope contained forged signatures, retirement records drained under Meri's name, and a note in Robyn's handwriting. "I told him not to do it this way. He said Meri would never go public. She was too broken. Kody would talk, but no one would believe her. Not even Janelle." The binder was worse. Elaborate monthly withdrawals, children's education funds, family trust accounts, TLC residuals, diverted into shell companies. One page, March 2022, $6,000 pulled from Janelle's joint account under wellness expenses. redirected to Flagstaff Holdings. Kody told her it was a tax penalty. Signed KB, the wooden box was the darkest. Inside, a thumb drive, a family tree edited to erase Christine, Janelle, and their kids. And a note in Kody's scrawl. Robyn, if anything happens, destroy this. This family is ours now. By 10:15 p.m., the cabin was sealed. Evidence bagged. Digital devices logged. And the shock wasn't over. Behind a fake wall panel, agents uncovered 2 locked file boxes. RJ Property Holdings and church accounts. Confidential. Inside, forged property deeds, IRS letters, 2 sets of books, one for TLC, one for the family. And a cassette tape. Kody's voice. Talking to an unknown man about cleaning the records if Meri ever goes nuclear. Kody had plotted his escape. He had passports, offshore accounts, dummy corporations. He used his children's trust funds as fuel. But what he didn't plan for was Robyn flipping before he could run. Detective Griggs received the evidence drop in real time. Her phone buzzed. Cabin raid successful. Everything matches Robyn's statement. She smiled grimly. Get this to HQ, fast. At the courthouse, Robyn signed a cooperation agreement. Broken, obedient. Kody's going to hate me, she whispered. Detective Griggs didn't blink. Kody's going to jail. The next morning, news vans swarmed the courthouse steps. Kody's reaction came through iron bars. He shouted from the holding cell window, "This is Meri's revenge!" Christine's jealousy. Janelle's betrayal. I'm the victim here. The crowd jeered. Inside the courtroom, there were no gasps anymore. No theatrics, just silence. Everyone knew they weren't watching a scandal. They were watching a man's reputation burn. Then came the twist no one expected. Judge Harmon's voice rang out. The court has received a sworn affidavit and motion to testify from one of the Brown children. The doors opened. Robert Garrison Brown entered. Not as Kody's son, but as a witness. He stood tall, navy shirt crisp, boots heavy against the floor. He carried a sealed envelope. This, he told the judge, is my statement. The night I learned my college fund was gone. Meri gasped. Janelle closed her eyes. Christine bit her lip. The judge read the first lines, then nodded. Mr. Brown, you may read it aloud. Garrison's voice was steady. I believed my dad was the strongest man I knew. But in 2021, when I was accepted into engineering school, he told me the money was gone, to take loans, that he was under pressure. I believed him, until my mom told me she never authorized a cent to be touched. I checked the account. Balance 3,421s, what was supposed to be my future, had been stolen. The courtroom froze. Even the court reporter had tears. Then Garrison unfolded 3 more letters from Savannah, Gabriel, and Hunter. Savannah's voice trembled through his reading. Great fathers don't steal their daughter's future. Gabriel's words hit harder. He stole from us, then blamed us for being angry. Hunter's was final. He let Robyn wear diamonds while my sister fell behind in school. By the end, even Judge Harmon's voice cracked. Thank you, Mr. Brown, for your bravery. But the prosecution wasn't done. They dropped the bomb. Kody had used Garrison's trust fund as collateral for Robyn's boutique loan. Loan ID, date, amount. Screens flashed across the courtroom. Kody's forged signature, fraud, criminal misrepresentation. No objections could stop it now. The gallery erupted. Social media headlines exploded. Kody Brown stole from his own kids. Meri sat still. One tear slid down her cheek. This was her deepest fear. Not the fraud, not the deception, but her children finally realizing their father never protected them. When court adjourned, Meri rose. She asked the judge for one final statement. Her voice cut through the silence. Kody told the world our story was one of love, of faith, of family. But that story was penned by liars, directed by cowards, and sold for profit. Purity doesn't steal. Love doesn't forge signatures. Family doesn't destroy children's futures for image. Tomorrow, I'll finish what I started. Because this court hasn't heard the worst yet. Not by far. And with that, she walked away, leaving thunder in her wake. But now it wasn't survival. It was Judgment Day for Kody Brown. The courtroom cracked like thunder. The judge called for order 3 separate times, her gavel echoing like cannon fire, but the eruption wouldn't calm. Reporters typed furiously, cameras whirred from the hallway, and even a local news station began broadcasting live. Meri stood taller than she ever had, her voice cutting through the chaos like steel. You used my name. You used my silence. You gambled with your children's future just to keep your false image intact. Did you think you were building an empire? No, Kody. You built a crime scene. And today, I've handed the court your blueprints. The words silenced the room. Judge Harmon turned to the court officers, her voice grave. Call the federal prosecutor. This case goes higher. The gavel fell. Court adjourned, but not ended. Then, in a twist no one saw coming, Judge Harmon faced Meri and asked, "Would you be willing to pursue federal charges?" The air froze. Janelle and Christine locked eyes with Meri. Her whisper carried more weight than a scream. "I thought this was about closure." Her attorney leaned close. "No, this is about justice." Meri inhaled, squared her shoulders, and gave history its moment. "Then yes, Your Honor. I will press federal charges against Kody Brown and Robyn Sullivan Brown." The walls of courtroom 6A trembled. A routine civil case had detonated into a federal scandal. By sunrise the next morning, U.S. Marshals were striding through the private wing of the courthouse, badges glinting, boots heavy. The Department of Justice was here. Judge Harmon opened a sealed file delivered at dawn, a federal indictment. 10 counts. 10 knives aimed at the Browns. Identity theft. Bank fraud. Wire fraud. Tax evasion, forgery, conspiracy, misuse of power of attorney. When the judge read the indictment aloud, the courtroom gasped in waves. Kody's face turned to granite. Robyn's chair sat empty. She had not returned since her interrogation breakdown. Her lawyer spoke meekly. "She's too ill to attend." The prosecutor shot back, "Then she'll receive her copy at the holding center." Christine let out a sharp laugh, cold as ice. "How convenient." Judge Harmon's voice thundered, "Let this serve as public notice. This case is now consolidated with the federal investigation. State and federal authorities will proceed together." She turned to the women. "You may now file claims as victims of fraud." Janelle was on her feet first. "I'll file my affidavit. I'm ready to work with the feds. Everything out in the open." Christine followed. "Same. I have letters and tax records from the Vegas years. They're yours today." And then, Meri stood once more, her voice steady but heavy. "I request immunity." Gasps rippled. She looked at the judge, then at her sisters. "In 2016, I signed papers I didn't understand. I gave Kody legal permissions that enabled this fraud. I will not have this hanging over our heads, or our children. If full cooperation and all evidence earn us immunity, I'm asking for it." The prosecutor leaned toward the mic. "The federal government will consider conditional immunity in exchange for uncontested cooperation and full surrender of documents." Christine whispered, "You're serious?" Meri nodded. "Dead serious." Janelle exhaled. "Then let's do it." Together, they signed the Brown Victim Immunity Pact. For the first time in decades, they weren't co-wives. They were survivors rewriting their legacy.